Yeah. Smith was asking like, okay, well, how comes it that we end up caring about these people if we don't have this like um intuitive or powerful reaction about a disaster somewhere else? And we can get into, I don't think the point wasn't to make a normative claim there. I would make a normative claim. I would make a specifically localist, nationalist, normative claim that you should care more about your family than other people. In fact, it would be a repellent dereliction of duty not to. And you should care more about your community than other people, and you should care about your nation more
Okay,
than other
so
people.
does that mean you should engage in ethnic nepotism or family nepotism?
So that's a good question because you're right. Like, there's obviously a danger of going too far the other way, where you only care about your family or something. And in fact, one of the uh, sort of marvelous achievements of the West is to loosen the bonds of family so that your institutions aren't riddled with nepotism. So, yeah, that's an issue. And I would say it turns out that Western societies, which are very high in human flourishing, work well. So I would look at what we're doing and be like, okay, let's try to stick to that. And that means, although people certainly care more about their family than they care about strangers, and they certainly think you should care more about them, there are limits to that. And in public institutions, we attempt to promote meritocracy and not to favor family.
So you have an interesting example in the essay about a guy who has to work very hard to earn money to pay for a sick child, is it?
Well, actually, I made him love his job to make it even to make the thought experiment even stronger.
Yeah.
He was an online chess streamer in the example, making, $1 million a year. So he was like Hikaru Nakamura, some chess wizard, very popular online. And I think the way I set it up was basically he was giving 50 to 80% of his money that he earned to charities that had been vetted by effective altruists. His daughter gets some horrendous ailment. Doctor says, she's not going to die. So, you don't technically need to spend any more money on her to allow her to survive or to prevent the disease from killing her. But her life's going to be unpleasant for a long time. And then I said, okay, suppose that this guy stopped streaming as much as he was, so he's foregoing some money there. And then he's taking the money that he was making, and instead of giving it to this charity, he's giving his daughter, like DVDs, home theater, taking her on vacations, making her life as pleasant as it possibly can be during her long battle with this painful disease. Now, I even added, you could do like some, like silly mathematics. I think I looked up that it was roughly $5,000 was the estimate to save a life in sub-Saharan Africa. So I was like, okay, let's suppose that he's not saving 1,000 lives that he could have saved because he's spending his money on his daughter. Now, my view is what he's doing is noble. My view is that most people would think that's a noble thing to do. And therefore, effective altruism slash Singerism is just wrong because certainly they would say that is not a noble thing to do. In fact, they would blame him, and perhaps the more extreme of them would castigate him for that.
Yeah, I think that's a very powerful example illustrating the absurdity of the effective altruist viewpoint. But is there something that you might have misunderstood, or is there a rebuttal they might put forward that could convince you they're not as crazy as they sound?
I mean, the first point, the suggestion that I might have misunderstood me, we can just dismiss. That I might have misunderstood something, we can dismiss because, of course, I don't
Because you're
misunderstand
infallible.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm sure that there are some people in the effective altruist movement or some arguments that would be, if not persuasive to me, at least I'd be like, yeah, okay, that seems more reasonable. So I should be clear that I'm talking about the version of Singerism that I've encountered, the people I've talked to, and some of the articles I've read. Does that mean that effective altruism always looks like that and would always claim that this guy is behaving morally abominably or something. No, but I do think it is the logical. I don't think it's illogical for a Singerist to say that that's morally wrong. I mean, if you follow the Singerian logic through, that is repugnant, is it not? I mean, clearly you're favoring your family over, you're favoring your daughter's comfort over 1,000 lives or something, right? I mean, yeah, if you do the calculation in that way, then it does seem abominable.
I mean, this could be like a new drowning boy example. That's even more incriminating to all of us ordinary Westerners.
That we're actually bad.
Not only are we not saving the drowning boy, but
Right.
we're
We're willing to devote all this. Yeah.
Yeah, selfishly condemning people to death by making our sick children's lives more pleasant.
Right, exactly.
To listen to the full podcast, become a subscriber at aporiamagazine.com.